Now, at least 18 heads of state expected at the presidential inauguration. The inauguration of President-elect Cyril Ramaphosa will take place at the Union Buildings in Pretoria following his re-election by Parliament on Friday. We now take you live, of course, as we bring you some of the developments on the ground to the SABC Sophie Mokoena, who's on the ground, of course, giving us a sense of some of the expectations on the ground. Of course, a lot of movement as heads of states and dignitaries land.
Thank you, Paul. Yes, indeed, the plane of the leader of Eswatini, King Mswati, has landed. He is about to leave the aircraft. As you can see, Dr. Naledi Pandor standing there with officials from the Air Force, and they will be receiving the King of Eswatini, King Mswati. Earlier on, we saw the arrival of the President of Tanzania, President Samia Suluhu Hassan, and now the King of Eswatini has just arrived. We expect that the Vice President of Ivory Coast will arrive later today, and of course the last plane that will be arriving here at Waterkloof will be the plane of the President of the DRC, President Tshisekedi. But now we are waiting for the King of Eswatini, King Mswati, to leave the aircraft. As you can see, those who are accompanying the King are leaving the aircraft. And the Minister of International Relations, Dr. Naledi Pandor, is waiting for the King to come out. We know that South Africa has strong relations with Eswatini. You know that this is a country where many of those fled, particularly after June 16, fled to Eswatini, where they were accommodated by the government of Eswatini under the Kingdom of Eswatini, and therefore the relationship, again, part of the strong ties in the SADC region. As we pointed out earlier on, these are the countries that assisted South Africa to be liberated by hosting some of those who fled the country at that time. Very few people would know that as we speak, there has been some challenges with Eswatini, particularly in relation to the protests that we saw in that kingdom last year, and South Africa was requested to communicate with the king to try and find a solution. We know that particularly the unions in that country and the opposition, even though the opposition doesn't have a strong voice as it is the situation with South Africa, we're calling for SADC to intervene, but we are still waiting to see what SADC will do to try and find a solution, particularly in terms of the opposition and the workers in that country who have been out in the streets last year, but for now it seems as if they have tried to manage that situation in Eswatini. We know that a few weeks ago he was in Taiwan, a friend to Taiwan, King Mswati, and the government of Eswatini. As you can see him leaving the aircraft, and Dr. Naledi Pandor will receive him and welcome him. He will join other heads of state and government who have already arrived in the country. You know that Lesotho, also a close friend of Eswatini, the delegation from Lesotho has arrived, and the King of Lesotho, Letsie Boraro, representing the Mountain Kingdom as a head of state, even though in that country the king is ceremonial. But when you look at Eswatini, the situation is different. The king has got powers, and it is for that reason some people in that country country have called on the international community to support them as they try to ensure that the government of Eswatini has more powers, but currently King Mswati has got more powers, and you can see Dr. Naledi Pandor receiving King Mswati of Eswatini. He will be joining other leaders tomorrow morning at the inauguration at the Union buildings. And back to you, Mpo, in studio.
Very well, and thank you very much there, of course, touching base with the developments on the ground.